Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Tamara Beckford, and I am here to welcome you to Inside the EntreMD podcast. Alrighty, so we have here one of our top OBs who is doing it in the dirty South. But we have to let you know how she's been able to have this remarkable business and this life. She's going to tell you all about it. And we're going to give you a glimpse of her life here being in the EntreMD Business School. All right, go ahead, Dr. Kenosha. Go and introduce yourself. Let them know where you're from and the name of your business. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, I am Dr. Kenosha Gleaton, and I own the Epicenter, which is a spa-like OBGYN practice located in the beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina.
Woo woo! All righty for Charleston. All righty. So, the thing about being in the business school, like that there's so much growth that happens, and the growth happens in tangible and intangible ways. So tell us, what are some of the biggest tangible wins that you've had within your business in the last 12 months?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many, but I feel like from the business school alone, I developed the courage to believe in myself to actually expand my business, despite having, in my mind, the adequate team and support system to do so. And I really feel that listening to Dr. Una week after week just kind of helped me see that I am going to prepare for where I'm going and not where I am presently, so right, or not based on my past. And so where others have looked at my business and thought, gosh, you know what, this is going to be a train wreck because she's growing so fast and so rapidly, and just not pulling back, and I guess really just kind of saying that I'm going to embrace the growth as opposed to stopping it. I remember at one point I raised my hand in the business school and said, hey, Dr. Una, like, when do you know whether you should take new patients or stop taking new patients? Because we had made a decision to stop taking new patients because we were growing so fast. And she said, you never stop taking new patients, right? You're either growing or you're dying. And her saying that, I came back to the office the next day. I told my office manager, open it back up. Like, even if we're booked out for a year, open it back up, because I really realized that I stopped taking new patients out of fear. I was concerned that the quality wouldn't be the same and that our response rates would be subpar. And so really it was just a fear, as opposed to saying, you know what, God has blessed us with this growth. We are going to embrace it, and we're going to figure out the team structure to be able to support the growth, because that's an uncommon problem to have in the first 3 years of business.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. What you have done with that huge mindset shift of the growth that you are having, at first you're thinking the growth is something that was going to hinder you and not let you be able to perform at your best. So fear decided to come take over, right?
Exactly.
But then realizing that, okay, there's another part of me that can produce the high quality care for these ladies, that can be able to have this life and this wonderful business create what I want, but it just requires the change. And the person I am right now is not seeing it. And that's okay, because I'm just going towards the person who I am going to be, who can do it. And I love it. So I love that reframing of growth and thinking that growth and excessive growth is bad, and just reframing it and saying, okay, well, what are some things I need to put in place in order to be able to keep this growth going, but provide the quality care? So now, what are some of the intangible things that you would say over this last 12 months that really came about to help you with this growth that you were experiencing?
Yeah, so again, it really required a mindset shift because, like, just from reading the books and listening to the books that are recommended every month, like, they have so helped define the new person that I am becoming, because I'm still growing, right? So
Absolutely.
I think this is my second year in the school, and I really have developed a sense for that yearning to develop and become a new person. And I think automatically top of mind is soundtracks, because I didn't even realize that I had a poor mindset. I thought,
Yes.
I go to church every Sunday. I hear my pastor. I feel encouraged. I'm good. But no one was going into my thoughts, those thoughts that happen Monday through Friday, thinking
Yeah.
like, gosh, no one does this. Like private practice is a thing of the past. Like no one is a solo OBGYN. There is no way I'm going to be able to compete with my competitors across the street. Like those things really had me living from a defeated space in life. And at the end of the day, I learned to check my thoughts and now like just replacing those with thoughts of confidence. And so basically I'm going back and circling back to the RBI, which I know everybody probably has raved about. But at the end of the day, just kind of learning to basically allow my imagination to go to its greatest heights and helping see myself in that space has just been phenomenal.
That's a great, 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 great answer. The thing about what we do and what we say, right? There are a couple avenues that occur. Number one, we get that bolus on Sundays of inspiration for those of us who are like, Christian and Christian led, and you're like, all right, I'm in church and I get that bolus. And then throughout the week, you're getting bombarded by negative thoughts. So by the time your end of week comes, you're starting back from scratch. And you're fighting your way back to saying, I can do this. I'm strong enough. I'm smart enough. I'm dedicated enough. But what you did was you tapped into number one, recognizing. So for those who hear about soundtracks, so soundtracks is a book that we read. And of course, it talks about what are the words and the phrases that you are saying to yourself and that you are repeating because you're with yourself all day, every day, right? So what are you repeating daily, hourly, every minute? And then what you also mentioned is that you started to do what we call our reinvention by imagination, which is visualizing where we're going, stating the things that we know we are, that sometimes we forget, and then being able to visualize the people who have done what we want to do and knowing that we have the same skill set. So you're using daily affirmations, you're using visualization, you're telling yourself, and you're replacing the soundtracks of the negative phrases with the positive phrases. Plus you're doing your boluses on the weekend. Alrighty, no wonder you up in there. No wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Alrighty. So what would you say were some of the biggest lessons? Because whenever, there are ups, that there are downs. So what are the biggest lessons that you learned within the last 12 months in being in the business school?
Gosh, there's so many. When I think of the largest ones, though, I think that I told the story a lot, and I don't know that I told Dr. Una, but I think I have. I told Makita for sure. But when I first opened my practice, I did not believe in myself enough to think that I could come from what I call corporate medicine, a hospital-owned practice, and open my own practice and have it be sustained by just me seeing patients. So I made like this $1 million mistake where I went and bought like all the spa equipment, cost me $1 million, and I am still paying that off now. So for me, my business started almost like not in a deficit, but with me paying off equipment that I really didn't need to have because almost like 97% of my patients followed me from my private practice. I mean, from my prior practice. So I really didn't need ancillary things that I hate doing. Right. But at the end of the day, I learned from that we either win or we learn and we pivot. And so for me, mindset was huge because I'm seeing like this $15,000 check that I'm writing to the spa equipment every month. And just
oh, that's painful.
It's painful just to see it, right? I
yes.
Write the checks. I'm like, my office manager, I don't have me sign those checks. For mindset purposes, bring every check to me except for the spa equipment. And so at the end of the day, just being reminded of that, but just kind of saying that is a learning lesson. So for me, I turned that into like, that was my greatest ammo per se to say I'm going to be successful and I'm going to make up for that $1 million, like you best believe. So now I find that my mind is like a creative playground. I'm looking at things within our capacity. How can we build other pillars and other service lines to ensure that we are profitable? And we're watching our bottom line. So it's made me like hire a CFO. So I have a fractional chief financial officer, and he makes sure that our overhead remains low. And that at the end, I think this hunger and thirst to overcome that mistake has made me such a more financially savvy doctor. And I wouldn't have been before. I would have had a nice little living in the beginning. I would not have strived to be the best and do all these things, but that mistake
Yes.
made me hungry, you know? Yeah.
Oh man, isn't that so? It's like, is it by design or is it by design? When you really think about it, when you went in, there are a couple things and a couple lessons that we can pull from what occurred. Number one, when you started the practice, because of the fact it's a big unknown, you know, it's an unknown and you are wondering, will I or will I not be successful? So
Right.
let me enter into a space where I think I might need this. So if this doesn't work out, at least I could do this, right? But then what happened is your base, which is like your patients, they know the care that you provide, and wherever you go, they're going to follow. It's kind of like Mama Duck and the Ducklings. She turned left, they turn left.
Yes, yes.
So they came over, and then you realized that this equipment and this additional backup plan that I had, I no longer needed. However, there's a lesson from that because there was a financial tuition. That's what my dad would be like, well, that's your tuition. Like,
Uh-huh.
I did, yeah, no. So
Exactly.
it's the tuition for that, but that tuition, it, even though it was not cheap, but it's brought you to a state where you'll be able to earn 10 times over and
Mhm.
over because you've learned, number one, your strength, you know that your conviction, and you are solid, and you know that you're a solid person, you're a solid businesswoman, you're a solid physician entrepreneur, and you make great decisions. So you could have used that and be like, well, I don't make good
Yeah.
decisions,
Right.
but you
Yes.
know, you use that as a tuition, and now you're now keeping track of everything, and it's just brought you to the point where you needed to be the successful businesswoman that you are. All righty, so enough about that because you know I could go on and on. However, I do need to know about what would you say to someone who is thinking they're on the fence and they're sitting there wondering and they're listening to this and they're like, gee, what, $1 million? Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. You mean say, like, you know, you are doing all this and you're no longer afraid and you're out there doing big things and you're not letting this quote unquote mistake hold you back? Wow, how can I be like her? What would you say to that person who's listening and thinking, I don't know if I should join the business school? Am I going to be like that? Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, so I had second thoughts as well. You know, I had already made $1 million mistake, right? So for me to say, oh, okay, and then I'm gonna pay a large sum of money to also join these folks, you know, like I
Mm-hmm.
just don't know them. And at the end of the day, I prayed about it. I had such a peace about it. And then once
Mm.
I joined the business school within the first 2 weeks, I was like, these are my people. This is my tribe. I know why I have to be in this school. And
Mm-hmm.
the dividends are so great. It's not just like hearing Dr. Una. I know we talked about the Commonwealth and the folks, but every time I come to a conference, I learned so much. I learned about Chat GPT at the conference, and that has literally changed my life, right? And so just things that I would not know, and just being able to have the specialty groups and the subgroups and broken down,
Mm-hmm.
it's just something that you just can't get from anywhere else. Like there's so many people in the business school who have similar dreams and goals, but
Mm-hmm.
they provoke us to greatness, you know. So I
Mm-hmm.
it's not a competition, it's just like a community where we are all like on the same page, kind of going after the same goals. You just can't duplicate it. Like you could try to go get like your MBA at any of these other schools, but just to have such a solid specific group of folks with the common purpose, it doesn't exist anywhere else. So
Hey, you
yeah.
know, I love this. Like you're saying, like we're all after the goals, and people hear like the common goals. What do you mean? What? But she's an OB, and but Dr. Bedford, you're not OB, you're ER. What
Yeah.
are these common goals? Dream life, dream business. That's our common goal. Like all of us are working towards that. So we're working towards profitable businesses, but not at the expense of our lives. So when we come together, we're created like, okay, so we're going to accelerate all 9 core areas of our lives, like how we're going to push everything forward. So, and the thing, as Dr. Gleaton mentioned, is the community is there to support you. You will never find another community that is so willing to give of themselves to help you to achieve your goals. And we're not in competition. And even when people's mind starts to get warped, they pull back and they realize, wow, I'm not in competition. Everyone here is here to help me. And we all have our talents. We all, explore, and our talents unfold while we're hanging out with each other. And it helps us to like go towards that dream, like we said, that dream business and that dream life. Alrighty, Dr. Gleaton. Now, do you have any last words before we end this wonderful conversation? I do want to thank you again before you even forget for coming on. But do you have any last words?
I don't. I think just kind of, and because I had a colleague that did the same thing to me, she was in the business school. So she just encouraged me just to kind of take that step, because you don't know what you're missing. And I feel like every month and every week that you're not there, you're like limiting your growth. And it's just hard to explain until you become a member of the community. And so, I mean, you're worth it. You're worth it in terms of your investment. I mean, we paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to get into medical school. So now why not, I guess, invest in our dream lives and our dream businesses in the same manner? So you're worth it.
You're worth it. Hey,
Yeah.
Dr. Gleaton said it. You are worth it. And with that, we're going to thank Dr. Gleaton for taking the time out of her busy schedule to stop by here and give you a glimpse of what it's like to be inside the EntreMD Business School. Now, we will see you on the inside. Now, I know when you listen to this, you're going to be like, well, I want to be in her world. Hey, come and join us. There are lots of unicorns. That's what we call ourselves, because we're doing amazing things inside and outside this healthcare space. Lots of us here inside the EntreMD Business School, and we are ready with open arms to welcome you to join us. With that, we're going to end today's episode, and we'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Dr. Beckford, and I'll see you on the inside.